Hi guys, welcome to the Marketing Rizz Podcast. I am your host Crispino, and today I'm joined by my co-host Pavan and a guest for the show Neetu Chotwani. Our episode today will focus on the fashion industry in India. We will discuss the online fashion marketplace, starting a private label, and the future of fashion with AI and technology. Pavan is the co-founder of Aeza, where he's building an AI-powered fashion marketplace that is going to revolutionize the online shopping space. We have a lot of cool AI features to discuss here. And Neetu comes with 2 decades plus year of experience working with big fashion brands such as Madura Garments, Levi Strauss, Myntra, and now has her own brand called Sands of India. So if you are in the fashion industry working as an e-commerce manager, a designer, a brand head, or have your own label, this episode is going to be very interesting for you. So welcome to the show, Neetu and Pawan. It is great to have you guys here with us.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Awesome. So Neetu, let's get started with you. You have over 2 decades of experience working in the fashion industry, right? So how has your journey been so far?
Oh, it's been amazing. So it's not just been India. I started with India, then I moved to Indonesia, spent quite some time in Indonesia, came back with Aditya Birla, came back with Madura. Then it has been Levi's, and it was a good stint with Myntra, and then on my own. So I mean, very, very diverse sort of experiences, right? From
Yeah.
manufacturing, sourcing, retail, international, Indian, and then starting up your own organization. So it's been very fascinating so far.
Love that. Love that. So, Neetu, how have you seen the industry evolve over time? I mean, you 20 years ago were talking about maybe where internet just came in and it was
Yeah.
getting viral to now where AI is disrupting the way we work. So, how have you seen the fashion industry evolve over time?
So it has completely changed, right, from what it used to be. So there used to be a time that India was largely just a manufacturing destination, right? For all the large brands. That's where it was. Because that was quota era, you had a quota, you would service that. Uh, India was not known for consumption economy. The retail era actually started way later. From those times to the times when India's retail was very, very unorganized, unstructured. It just meant like any garment, it did not mean a brand. To the times where all these big brands started coming into the malls, the era of malls and the era of largely people going and experiencing shopping in the malls. To then e-commerce. And then, when e-commerce started, when Myntra started, nobody believed that anybody will buy fashion from e-commerce,
Yeah.
and people said it was touch feel. If I don't wear it, how does it work, right? And then from those days to today, where the industry is getting completely disrupted, the footfalls into the stores is reducing because e-commerce is growing very, very rapidly, to a point where, I mean, remember those days when those airport hoardings who talk so much about fashion, and that was the, advertising, the front page of the newspaper was the advertising, to now where again it's completely changed with respect to even marketing. And the third piece of it, which is the consumer, from
Yeah.
a point where consumer largely, was clearly defined that this is the luxury consumer, this is the consumer who will go to organized brands, very few organized brands, and then the rest was purely, buying from the other unorganized stores. To now, we then moved to the point where it was all about brands. I mean, I wear this brand was my social status, right? To the point where now, how Gen Z buys, and completely a different way of buying and seeing. It's more what the influencers are saying, how does it look on me, from being very mass to now, no, I'm an individual, I can have my own styling, I want to style it differently. you know Brand name might not matter so much. So everything, right? Everything around fashion has completely changed. And now generative AI, I mean, as
Yes.
I jumped into this setting up my own organization, I mean, my thing was that things have become simpler. You can place inventory at one point, you can reach the audience faster, you can have so many ways of marketing, not really spending so much. So yeah, things have wildly changed, I would say.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think this nobody better to have on my first fashion industry based podcast than you, Neetu, who has seen the inception of fashion right from 2 decades ago to having Pavan as well right now, who's kind of at the forefront of building a fashion marketplace with AI and tech automation kind of built in into it. So this is going to be an amazing podcast. I'm super excited for this. But Neetu, so take us back to your time working at Myntra with House of Brands. So can you tell us a bit about your experience there and what you did over there with Myntra?
So Myntra at that point of time was setting up its own brands because the idea was that what is going to be your moat, right? How are you going to be different from the others? And who is going to give you a top line and bottom line? So while you had these national brands, that time there weren't so many D2C brands. And largely either so you have dependence on national brands and then you can create something of your own. And because you have so much data with you, you have a sensibility of, what to start, where to play, and all of that. And how do you do that? You first look at like what is the overall size of the market in that particular category. Then you look at that, what are the white spaces, and then within your platform, what are the white spaces, and what is the consumer saying and searching for more and more. And that's how you define that, okay, let's get into these brands, these categories, and do all of that. And then this whole analytics piece was very new then, right? And there were very few
Hmm.
users, so that definitely gave you an edge. So I think the whole sense of the market we understood quite well with, in those years. And people also responded very nicely to the brands that got created and, all of that. So yeah, so that was a complete shift of industry. Like I was also coming from Levi's, a very, very different, it's a very different kind of brand, very different kind of sensibilities, largely focusing on the product all the way, right? And denim brand, then we went into tops and the other non-denim products. And then this shift was pretty much a 360 shift into this sort of a environment.
So when you are evaluating brands at Myntra to get them on the platform, what are some of the aspects or green flags that you look at in the brand that gives you an idea that this brand is ready for a mass market?
Yeah, so we were at that point of time creating our brands. And
Okay.
so when you create a brand, as I said, you look at, what category is growing rapidly. Obviously, you see that what category is sort of the large market size. Then
Hmm.
once you've understood the market, then you see the growth, right? And you see what is the high growth category. Or even for brands, right? How people are responding to XYZ brand
Hmm.
and what are the searches looking like. All
Yeah.
of that gives you a sensibility on your where to play. So if you're getting brands, and for example at that time Myntra wasn't doing any saris, there was hardly any saris, right? And then the whole thing so showed that this is a gap, and then you must get in saris because that's a huge market, through the year and especially during festive, etc. And that's how you try to get that category and capture more and more those brands as well. So that's how you evaluate that what is the white space, what is the growth, and so where should you enter. And that's super important. If you go in a very cluttered space which is already plateaued on growth, and I mean there's so many brands around, then it will not give you that kind of.
Fair enough. So, Neetu, you've transitioned now from a massive corporate hierarchy to a lean world of a founder. How has that journey been for you?
So it's been very, very exciting. It's not been without anxiety and without, looking at working capital and constantly evaluating bank balance. So there are two ways of doing this, right? Once that you have defined, what is going to be your play and how you're going to play in the market. The other piece is the entire finance piece. So then I decided I will continue bootstrapped till I come to EBIT positive because I sort of thought that I'm alone, right? I don't have a co-founder. So then either I focus on the brand and the business, or I sort of go for VCs and then a little bit of thing about very quickly growing. And then, I don't know, top line is okay, but bottom line is super important. So then I took the path. And when you take this path of a non VC and a bootstrapped path, then, you know, a lot of anxiety does come from where you're putting the monies and is it going to sort of repack. So far, the positioning has been good. So the white space that I frankly found was that the Western wear, the so-called Western wear is very basic and, mainly all the brands that play are pretty basic. And then that Indian sensibilities are not so much there. So that's how the Sands of India came into being. So we said that you will have this fashion which is contemporary, not like ethnic, super contemporary, but also with a lot of sensibilities of Asia. And I didn't sort of keep it with India because I wanted to make it slightly broader. And I thought that Asia is very connected in a way.
Yeah, and that reflects in your designs. I've seen the designs; they're amazing, and it does reflect a lot of heritage, a lot of Asian heritage does come out from it. But what made you take that step to transit from a successful corporate career to an entrepreneur?
So after many years of working, right, then it becomes very repetitive. And then there are things that you wish to do, but you can't
Yeah.
do because you are in that structure. And then I I was just hugely inclined to do that I wish to do. See fashion my way, design stuff my way, do something
Love
which
that.
is yeah.
You're
So
your
I
own
mean
boss now. No more
yeah.
taking approvals from everyone. It's just Neetu.
Yeah, it's just that when you are in a corporate, a lot of time gets spent on meetings, especially,
Of
Yeah.
course,
at
yes.
a very senior level. So a large part of that time goes in meetings and, goes that path. So I think we all have enough time to sort of do more stuff. And that was like sort of bothering. It wasn't an easy step. It wasn't like overnight I decided I had to sort of figure that, okay, these are the monies kept aside. This is what we're going to do. I traveled to Japan. I understood the idea originally was India and Japan. Then it hugely changed because I realized that the Japanese fashion versus Indian fashion is very, very different. So then we thought that, okay, let it be India and US. And that's how, so it is not that, you stick with something, it keeps changing, right?
Yeah.
And you sort of enjoy it also. So it is very different from corporate, of course. And how people see you, then how people see you in this stage of transition when you are fairly small,
Yeah.
it is.
Absolutely.
But if you are sort of going for it, then I think you should be ready for these things.
Yeah. And what would you say was your biggest challenge, or what do you think are the biggest challenge fashion founders face in India?
See, it is very cluttered. I mean, you'll find like
Too many
so
brands.
much choice.
Yeah.
And if you look at between e-commerce and offline, again, there are too many options. And Myntra itself has like upwards of about 10,000 brands. There's so many options. Defining yourself and navigating your way is one thing. And then sort of sticking on because it's not that overnight people will know, marketing takes its time.
Yeah.
People start understanding they have to trust your quality in the beginning when they haven't understood your sizing and you have everyone as a new customer, you will have large returns because 100% of customer base is new. So
Yeah.
as the customers start more, more loyal customers come back, they already know your fit, etc., etc. Your returns start reducing. But the good thing is, like, I sort of knew these things. But on the other front, I had a co-founder. It didn't work right. So a little bit around that piece. Initially, the people you have, and then how they have to also see them as a part of a startup versus wherever they're coming from. And so luckily for me, my team has stayed with me, so I haven't seen attrition in this time. And then the whole working capital piece,
Yeah.
how do
Absolutely.
you manage the working capital? How do you see, because things won't go as per plan, so you can
They
be
never
100
do.
sure that things will not go as per plan. What you plan as sale might not happen. The seasonal transition, the you if you think winter will fire with that year, winter will not come, to that extent. So these are the things which you have to sort of say, this is my backup plan, this is my backup plan B, this is my backup plan C,
Yeah.
how will you navigate and all of that. So, and but luckily for me, I also had a network and a lot of friends in the industry. So, the entire back end, many factories, I got support from factories. Got, it wasn't that I was paying upfront, etc., etc. So, because people have known
Awesome
me,
credit. Yeah.
yes, and I have a sense of reputation, and that's another thing that you must keep up with your reputation. It shouldn't, people shouldn't think that that was another Neetu and this is another Neetu. So these are the pressures that happen, right? And you have to be sort of. But now I see light. So in this time, like I know, like moving towards EBIT positive, I'm seeing the customer reactions. I am seeing the things that I wished I would have seen last year also.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you immense hope. I mean, that gives you so much happiness, probably, hordes of
Yeah.
money in a corporate might not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then, every design, because obviously you're putting your own money, every single design I go through, I just double check that it is worth that consumer that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And it's worth the, putting your bets on. That designing piece, making sure, and then you wouldn't never bother so much in a corporate. You have 200 people reporting into you. That's fine. Things just here, every little piece, and that also gives you a lot of.
Love that. That was a very raw and unfiltered response, Neetu. I love that response. And being a founder myself, I can totally relate to every word that you said over there. Though not in the fashion industry, I'm into the marketing space, but I think the things that you said do apply to me as well. So you spoke about marketing over there, Neetu. I like to ask you, so what are, there are so many things in marketing. People talk about testimonials, SEO, ads, influencers. So what are the three things that have worked for you in marketing in 2026?
I think marketing through generative AI, it has really helped because you sort of have to release content every day. And, generally support from AI also on what sort of content and some thoughts, and then you add your thoughts and you sort of release. So that has helped. The whole digital marketing is very favorable. So, and the analytics around the marketing is really helped. You is seeing how people are sort of responding and the age group, the demographics, and what sort of ads are doing well and what sort of ads are not. Being able to create such a variable content through influencers, through generative AI, through, I mean, I also do some sort of podcast, etc., for my customers. So, being able to create that variation in today's times versus how it would have been if all of this weren't available, I think that makes a huge difference.
It's interesting. So yeah, I mean, in performance marketing, I like to ask you, do you guys run ads on Instagram, Meta as well? And how has that been for you guys?
Yeah, it's been well. I mean, in the beginning, I was relying on various agencies. And a lot of that is when the algos actually went wrong. So, I mean, it started pushing stuff to the wrong audience, even on my Insta, etc. So all of that we had to revamp completely. But it doesn't necessarily wouldn't drive conversion on your own site, even though it has that shop now button. But it will drive conversion on the other platforms. So definitely, I think now I have good sense. So I actually I learned it myself because
Okay.
the agencies were not helping, and I thought that the best, you understand your brand, you understand what sort of content, what is it that customers should see is what you understand.
Hmm.
So I took things in my hand. Of course, I did take some support from the agencies, etc. But a lot of that, I mean, it was very enlightening for me also, right? Frankly. So I actually do a lot of that stuff myself.
That's amazing. And you spoke about AI, right? Generative AI and AI earlier. So what's your take on technology and AI coming in and kind of disrupting the fashion space and other spaces? Like, how do you see the future of the fashion industry?
See, at the end of it, it will be if you have the right product and you have the right sensibility of your customer, then I think this whole ecosystem of AI has given you such a big leverage.
Yeah.
I mean, because, it's not just around the content. Of course, around the content and the content, it's really progressing very fast. So in the beginning, when we started generative, because we have a lot of embroideries, we have a lot of detailing, and that is our key in our products. And that would just go wrong, like in the beginning, how it was. Now, more and more, if you look at the progress, it comes through is progressing, more
Yeah.
tools are coming through and all of that. So
Yeah.
how you can showcase your product. However, I still feel that, you know, it's we can't just let go the human cataloging completely if you have products like mine, because the closeness with which you want to see, and details on the fabric, the details on the product, which is super important. If you just have a basic t-shirt with a graphic print, it's fine, you can do that. But AI hasn't come to a point where it gives you the fall correctly completely. Product, a garment is all about how it sits on me. So, so people have sort of approached that on your site, you can just do a, try me sort of a button, and then people
Yeah.
can sort of see themselves in that product. And I tried that quite a bit, but I did not use it because I saw that if for a specific body, it will not show the fall correctly. It will probably make it nicer than, and that I did not want. I did not,
Hmm.
it's okay to think that how am I going to look and take it and return, than
Yeah.
think that I'm going to look A and then say that shit, this is not what I was looking there, because it doesn't
Correct.
capture the fall, it doesn't capture your body completely. This is a
Yeah.
very, especially women's wear, the curvatures are very different in real life
Hmm.
versus the order. So
Hmm.
while it has broadly really helped, but I
Hmm.
think there are some things which do need a human intervention. And
Yeah.
then I think you're still quite far from where it will sort of portray correctly.
Yeah. I think Pavan here will be a great person to talk about AI tech as well, because he's built a platform, a marketplace with the virtual try-on feature. So how has your experience been with that, Pavan?
Awesome. Well, I think firstly, we need to understand that when you talk about the Indian market versus the market outside India, it's very different, right? Because our Indian market has very different body shapes, colors. So the colors that suit us, the temperature, and all this actually comes into like picture. So
Yeah.
when you talk about mixing fashion with tech, it becomes very tricky because it's very segmented to India versus the rest of the world. So while building Aeza, the first challenge that we wanted to overcome was how do we exactly like get over this biggest challenge? Because once we're able to double down to the Indian market, you have a lot of users already. So I think, like Neetu said, virtual try-ons, etc., and other platforms right now are very broad in the sense that they try to show it how it looks on the user, sure, but they don't make it clear as to how exactly the product is. Let it be the quality, the fit of the product. So how would like a small versus medium fit on me for more clarity, etc. Right? So one thing I would say Aeza is focusing on is our virtual try-on actually takes that into consideration because we follow a dynamic sizing when we
Hmm.
use virtual try on, and it's not just for a single product, right? You can also do it for multiple products, so you can try on a whole outfit of different brands together at once. So this way, say I know I have a shirt from H&M in which same medium fits me. Aeza tells you that in a certain brand that is there on Aeza, what is the best size that fits you. And then it shows that exact size to the most accuracy on your virtual try on, along with, say, a Zara pant or something else. So the goal is how do we not make it just as a feature that is good to have, but actually a value adding feature? Because, Neeta, and I'm sure you would agree with this, that the major reason online brands have a lot of returns is because of the lack in clarity you have and the confidence of buying the product that you have in store. So maybe the size is not fitting. Maybe this is not exactly what I thought it would be on me. And in store experience gives you that because you get to go try it on and you have a salesperson who helps you understand that. So that is the goal we're trying to solve, right? How do we bring that clarity and confidence in an online e-commerce marketplace so we can obviously, from the brand perspective, reduce the returns, and from the user perspective, have more clarity in what they're buying? Because another point that you also said is that people actually relate to what they wear. Today, there could be 1,000 brands on the platform, but I only have my way of styling and I relate to it. So that is another thing I would say is very important when you're talking about fashion and tech.
I have a small question, Pawan. How the product sort of falls on you or fits on you is really related to, for example, the weight of the fabric. I'm just giving you a very small example. However, when we do this tech, right, does it try to get that from what it sees on, whoever, on the model, or how does it gauge the real fall
Got
of
it.
the same product? Yeah.
Got it. So in Aeza specifically, our AI is trained to not just train on the image,
Yeah.
but so whenever a brand onboards, every product has a specific columns apart from your e-commerce column. So apart from the fit, fabric type, fabric density, etc., we have a lot of other columns which the AI takes into consideration before using that product to try it on.
Okay.
So that is why we keep on adding columns which are more relevant to the AI. And we try to optimize this model so that people actually feel the value of being able to try things on virtually in real time so that we remove that decision fatigue in online shopping.
That's amazing because the others whom I experienced, they were just taking the catalog picture. It's almost like how we create a catalog picture. It's just superimposing, a face over the other. So, if this is the case, I think that's amazing and something to look forward.
That's super interesting, Pawan. Love that. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is something that I would like to myself try on when it goes live and see how it works. Because I personally am not a big fan of online shopping. Like, I like to go in the store and kind of have that experience of an in store stylist suggesting me outfits, maybe a different pant with a different top. But that's not possible. Like, you can't mix and match. I can't get a super dry and Adidas pant, but I think with the
Yeah.
fashion marketplace that you're building, that is possible, and that could pretty much revolutionize the way we shop online. So, what led you to build Aeza? How did that come about?
So me and my co-founder and our directors, we don't come from fashion background, but we are very avid of what we wear. We all have different tastes in fashion, and we all are being college students are very, very very. It's very important to us about what we wear in college because obviously that is the age that you
Gen
start
Zs, yes.
understanding. Yeah, you start understanding what you relate to, what your likes are,
Yeah.
what your dislikes are, and
Yeah.
so this problem started with us when we realized that most of the orders we order online in our college, we return it because either we miscalculated the size or the color is not what it is or the fit
Hmm.
wasn't on me properly. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I have a model standing over there wearing the shirt and then I imagine myself in it. Oh, I'll look as good as him, but turns
Yeah.
out, okay, not. So this started as a problem where we wanted to use the growing AI bubble, which we were also very familiar of, into making this ease and experience we have in online shopping easier. And we pivoted multiple ideas as to what could be. But on talking to a lot of users and brands, we've realized that you don't need some out of the box feature to make this experience easy. These are just gaps that you have in the current online shopping, which if you could fix, the whole experience of online shopping becomes seamless. I think that's how it started for us.
Love that. Love that. And I think, yeah, the way the fashion industry is evolving, not only in India, but across the globe, it's a very good time for both Sands of India and Aeza to kind of be at the forefront. And Eula is like ripe and right in time for the new generation to kind of explode. So that's amazing. Bhavan, any questions on the fashion tech you'd like to ask Neetu?
Yes. One question, Neetu. So obviously being a brand which is also in the online presence, and so from the brand side, what do you think is a major issue the brands face in online shopping? So when you put out your Shopify or your platform out, what is a major issue that brands might face?
So, the brands generally go two paths, right? They have their own site, which is the D2C, and then they have these platforms. So, D2C becomes like your flagship store and offline where people come and see, etc., etc. The first thing there is the trust. If you're a new brand, how the consumer will sort of trust you and your site too, because they have things on whether it will be delivered on time, whether I'll be able to return, their ease of return, will the monies come back, and what the fit is going to be. So I rather wear a brand which I've known, than venture into new. So either you have to be like quite different to what the others are offering, or very quickly people can just, shirk you and say that, what is it that I see here? And when they go to the platforms, then the problem is visibility amongst all these. So if you go and search for dresses, you'll get 200,000 dresses in Myntra, for example. So then where do you sit and how do you sort of gain the visibility, and how much attention span is another big thing in today's times, right? Either you catch the attention or like you're gone forever. So, and the algo picks up something which is really giving them the revenue for each listing. So the whole thing is how to get the attention quickly and how to get the trust quickly. Otherwise, you'll keep sitting with inventory that you bought. You thought it was great on me, but I don't know what went wrong. So I think those are the how to build trust, how to make sure that people try you, and then when it is with the platforms, then how do you sort of in this whole clutter of brands and whole clutter of price points, Now, if you look at how price points, if you sort by, for example, discounting, you can see, whatever discount. And you can get things in whatever price because you haven't actually experienced the quality. So all of these things, so much choice for every section of consumer that get your space and get the people to trust you and become loyal to you is what you're really looking at. And that takes time.
Awesome. To follow up on that, do you think that platforms today like Myntra and Nika focus their recommendation algorithms, focus more on the online browsing rather than actual decision making when they suggest these products?
It is both ways, right? When they suggest, it's very personalized now. So if you bought an XYZ, they will show you more of XYZ. So it is a lot to do with personalization as well. Men, of course, don't browse so much. They just search the brand that they want. They search their black, white shirt and then they pick. But women keep browsing. So that's where.
My mom is the whole day on Myntra.
Yeah. So women before sleeping, they are either on Insta or on the shopping apps. Yeah. So I think what you are trying to bring out in the sense that people will get more trust if they sort of see that what they have seen on your this thing tool and the actually it fits them like that. And I think that's a huge enabler, both for businesses and the brands and also for the.
Awesome. And one more thing, Neetu. So, what is your take on having a stylist in the platform which guides you through the whole process? So, if you go to like a store, you have like a salesperson who understands what your needs are, suggests you the right platform, and you're like, hey, something maybe under 2000. So, he just shows you those options. And hey, maybe in white. So, what Aeza is also doing is at its platform, it is an e-commerce marketplace at its core, but along with that, Aeza is also an AI stylist which in a conversational way takes users to what they want, right? So it doesn't just show you traditional grids with products when you search for it. It actually asks you questions about what you want to buy, filters it down. So what is your take on having an AI stylist embedded into your platform, which helps people guide, guide through their shopping experience better?
I think it's amazing, and that also I have spoken with people who've come with the same thing. You can talk to them in any language, and they will sort of. But the point here is the accuracy in what it is coming up with. Because what I have seen is that it just picks what is very, very blatantly clear and then just shows. Because women are very random with how they think and how they wear and how you sort of, with their thinking that what they want. So, if I say that I want to, hey, so and so, can you show me red dresses for my party tomorrow? So what I have seen is what they come up with is something, it isn't as accurate and you will never be able to read her mind, but at least, then you have to see party and then you have to see red and then you have to ensure dress. These are the three things that the AI has to capture. However, what was available to what I saw, they were just capturing one of those and showing you the option. So, and just using very flowery language, right? That of course, whatever the AI, so it becomes such a typical AI thing that it sometimes puts you off. But the accuracy of what you're showing. And I think a lot of the styling is also basis what the fashion sensibilities you feed into the system. So what are the words that you feed into the system? What, for example, are the current trends that because people could be just as random as what is trending, I'm going here, what is trending, show me what is trending this summer. So it will just pick up, random things and show so we have to evolve to a point where it is able to talk about the trends. That okay, this is a trend, and these are the products related to that trend, instead of just randomly bringing forward. So these are the things. So I think the launches, Pavan, are happening very quickly, but the whole foundation is not getting built. So and also, maybe the founders and they're not very fashion related, so they're not able to sort of come together also from that point of view. But yeah, you have to understand the customer. How customers will ask for things. What are the use cases? What are the words? And then a general fashion industry understanding as well. Which are the words which the industry is using and stuff like that. So once that gets cleaned up, I think it's such a big opportunity, right? And especially, when you have so many products just floating around.
I'm so excited you said that because for the last 1.5 year, we've especially focused on this part, which is understanding how a user would want it instead of assuming how an AI should respond.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm so excited to bring it out soon.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And I shop usually for men. Like I don't shop much, but I wanted to shop something. I had an event recently, so I went on Pinterest and I started screenshotting the outfits that I liked and
Yeah.
then putting it in Google Lens to see where I can find that shirt
Yeah.
from. So I don't
Yeah.
know if this is helpful, but yeah, this is an insight into how I shop sometimes. I am mid-30s. So if that could help you guys with your brand and product, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Pavan, from your side?
I'm good for now.
Okay. So, Neetu, before I let you go, just one last question. So, this is you being a women entrepreneur, make in India, make the whole thing we are going through. What would be your kind of message to women entrepreneurs in India who are trying to start their own brand and kind of grow their own branding personality on LinkedIn and just get into entrepreneurship? What is your message to them?
I think trust yourself. I think don't let the trust go away because some time has passed. It will always be, initial phase will be slightly rocky. Trust yourself and just hang on there. And if you have a niche or if you have something that you understand very well, being a woman, you understand, that is the need for the people out there, then it's going to happen. I think today is the time where a lot of things are available at not very high cost. And that is where, if you have the intelligence to take it forward, you can do it.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for your time, Neetu and Pawan. It was great having you guys over on the show. I enjoyed this conversation. I hope you all enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good. Yeah. Thanks.
That. All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Bye.